guys. Hopefully I'll get some of you guys to join me here in a second. Hi. I was waiting for some people to join us. I know everybody has been wanting to see, I guess, another curved tumbler, and so I actually have one to do. So I figured I would make it with you guys. So while I'm waiting for some people to join us real quick, let me tell you, this is a 30-ounce modern curve, and I am going to be doing the new method. So I'll show you how to put your fabric on, and I'm going to coat it once with Mod Podge so I can show you how to do your seams and your rims and everything, and then we're going to do the polyacrylic. So also, while I'm waiting, I guess I was hoping that more would join us. So while I'm waiting, let me tell you guys that I did get my samples of epoxy and UV resin in. I will be testing those out this week. I did test my epoxy that is supposed to be the fast set epoxy, and I just made a little mold while I ran to my girls' softball practice earlier, and it was fast set, guys. It was done by the time I got back. That was like maybe 2.5 hours. It's like fully done. So fingers crossed that this stuff is awesome, and hopefully I'll be carrying that soon for you guys. But okay, so since I've got several of you guys already, you love that sorting hat. Yes, me too. I actually want to carry some molds and stuff soon, Gina, so hopefully this will be one of the ones that I'm able to carry, but I still need to add the eyes and everything to this one. So anyway, so let's get started. I have my cup, my Mod Podge in my squirt bottle, and I just use a regular paintbrush. This actually isn't the kind that I like. I like the ones with the gold bristles, but all of those are in the kitchen by the sink because I was washing them. So we're gonna use this. I just like this kind, like where it's, you know, about 1 inch thick or so, and you know, I can wash it if it's an actual paintbrush. So anyway, so to start this, let's go ahead and get some Mod Podge on the cup. And I just start spreading it out. This cup is prepped with a gloss spray paint. I don't normally use gloss, but that's all I had in purple. And I wanted the purple underneath my glitter rims, so we make do. I'm just getting the extra off and moving it because I don't want it super thick. Oh no! What, did you break it? Or did it like crack or something? What happened to the mold? I saw you've been busy. If I only have white paint, does the glitter colors not show up well? It depends on what color you're using. I prep a lot of my cups in white just because I prep them ahead of time and I don't know exactly, you know, what cup's going to be for what. So I can actually grab one of these and show you. It does kind of show up. You just have to do like a second coat. Oh, I just hit the desk. So this is one I did earlier, and you can kind of see, yeah, see right there, you can see it's like really light right there, and try to get it to show up maybe on this side. You can see it's just not as like vibrant pink as it would be if I would have prepped it with a pink or something. So, but but you can still do it. There's nothing wrong with having white. I just have to go back over that one more time. So, all right. So I put a good coat of Mod Podge on this cup, and this is really good because you guys can see exactly how much I'm using. When I do it on white, y'all can't always see. All right. I just grab my fabric. It's upside down right now, and I grab it to where my hand is about in the center of it, and I just stick it on. And then I start adjusting it. You don't want to pull on the fabric too much because you will cause the, can you see this right here? These are what I talk about when I say the weaves, okay? You'll cause the weaves to spread out a lot, and it'll like show through your epoxy. So don't pull on your fabric too much. I'm just kind of smoothing it down. And see right here? This is what happens with a curved tumbler, okay? So just kind of smooth it, stretch it, not too much, just little by little. And then you can see, wait, can you see that? Yeah. You can see how I've kind of stretched it right here compared to up here. It lays flat, but this one I kind of stretched so that it's on the cup nicely, okay? Oh gosh. Well, hopefully I'll get some molds in soon. All right, so I meet them up, and you can tell by the curved tumbler there's gonna be less fabric up top. Okay, it's sort of at an angle. Now, if you were going to cut a straight cut, a straight seam on this, then just like in some of my other videos, you could go back and I would put this one underneath and this one on top, all right, and then go down just like that. But I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna actually try to cut around her so that I can hide my seam a little better. So you guys will get to see how I do that. So I'm gonna pick this top for my cuts. Hi Pamela. And just trying to look at it to see where I need to cut around. So I think I'm just gonna go maybe around, let me see if I can angle this down. Hi Kelly, you caught me on a live and on the beginning of it. Okay, so I'm just gonna start cutting out my shape here. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be perfect because you know, this fabric kind of hides a lot of the imperfections anyway because it's like a sketch fabric. So let me go underneath here. Trying to decide where I'm going to cut this. Yeah, I like to do it on these kind of sketch cups, Kelly. I feel like it all blends in a lot better. How am I gonna? I think I'm gonna go around this black curvy line. Just make sure that your scissors are fairly sharp because you don't want to have to gnaw at the fabric and create a lot of like little free strings and stuff. Now technically you could do this with a razor blade. You could lay them on top just like when you're going to cut your seam, and you could cut them both the same, you know, cut around it with a razor blade. But I feel like for me, I don't do this kind a whole lot, and so for me, I feel like it leaves too much room for error. For me, at least. Alright. So this is basically what I have. Okay, I've created just like a little cutout, basically. Okay. Do I sell my cups? Yes, I do. I was taking orders, but I've been so busy lately with this group that I'm not taking orders anymore. So this one actually is for somebody, but I'm going to stop taking orders, and I'll probably just sell the ones that I make on here with you guys. I'm just cutting this extra off because I know that this overlaps with plenty of room. Okay. So now here's where it kind of gets a little tricky. I'm going to add just a little bit of Mod Podge. Oh, I got a little line here. I don't want any bumps in this. Okay, so smooth your fabric out because we're going to use the razor blade and cut around. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little bit here so that this sticks down. I want it to stick down nice and smooth, exactly where it's going to go when I'm done. Okay. Otherwise, normally guys, I do not put Mod Podge on the cup until my seam is done. This is the only time that I do this. And it's just because I like to cut into fabric that has been Mod Podged. For me, it cuts a lot smoother. So, it's just a preference. Normally when I use the gold brushes, guys, it doesn't do this. This brush is kind of like becoming a pain in my butt. Alright. So I'm just making sure this is all laid down nice and flat. This is not over here. I'm going to have to let this dry. So y'all will have to bear with me. I'll show you some fabrics real quick while I'm letting this dry. Okay, let me put this in a bag. You chickened out and did a straight cut. Oh, your scissors are so dull. Yeah, you definitely need a good pair of scissors. I mean, you could use a razor blade, like I said, but I put this, I'm going back and forth here, guys. Sorry, try to keep up with me. I put this in a baggie when I'm not using it. That way it doesn't dry out and I don't have to keep getting a new brush every time, okay? And then I just kind of clip the top after I rolled it, and it works for me. I can usually get like 4 days or so out of my brush. Okay, so now let me go back through and make sure I didn't miss anything while this is drying. I would love to have, oh, okay, well, next time I have one done that, or if you see any of these in these videos that you like, if it's not claimed, let me know. Otherwise, I can post one and let you guys know when I'm done with them. Do I still have this fabric available? I think so. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, since we're waiting anyway. Let me look. Tink. Shows there's one more online. I can go back and look and see if I have any hiding anywhere too, but it shows that there's one online right now of this. And I am going to be ordering more. There's an option for me to order more of these different kinds of sketch fabrics. So it's going to be about 3-month turnaround again, but I'm going to get like the, what is that on Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts? There's like the cartoon version of her on a argyle background, black and white argyle. It's really cool. And some other different sketch ones that we've liked. There's like a Lilo and Stitch sketch that's really cool, and I'm going to order a few of those. So this is not quite dry. It's a little sticky still. So while we're waiting on that, I'll show you guys what I got in the mail today. Y'all are going to be so happy. Okay, so I was able to score a tiny bit of this. Isn't that cute? It's like the Tiki Lilo and Stitch. So I thought that one was really cute. And I have not had this in so long because it's so hard to find. But I did get a bit of this Stranger Things. Isn't that so cute? This is like my favorite. So I was able to get some of that. And I know everybody loved this one. I was able to get more of this. Yeah, that's right. So I know that lots of people loved this one, so I'll be posting restocks of those. And restock of the Galaxy Star Wars as well. And then I got, this is not the same black Star Wars print that I had a few months back. This one has like some of the newer character guys, but I got this one. The other one is, the other black one was just the Stormtrooper and Darth Vader, I think, and maybe might have had BB-8 and R2-D2, I think. I can't remember what was on it, but anyway, so I did get some of this. I know everybody loves Star Wars. And I don't know why, but I really liked this mustard color, and I hope you guys do too. But I got some of this like mustard color, and the print is kind of cool. Like, wait, I think I gotta get real close. It's hard for me to see. Can you see that? Like, it looks textured. It looks like it's sweater, but it's not. So, it's really cool. So hopefully y'all like that mustard color. I like that mustard color. I do have a lot of Star Wars on pre-order as well. So hopefully in the next few months we'll get a bunch of different Star Wars. I got some really cool ones. Some that look like that old antique vintage, like, they come in like toy, what is it called? Like toil or something? They're like blue and white or whatever. I got one kind of like that. I don't know what it's called, but. What? Okay, Kathy. Oh, speaking of, I need to message you as well. But, I did pre-order Golden Girls, guys. I did, okay? I don't know how long it's going to take to come in, but I pre-ordered a bunch the other day of stuff. I pre-ordered, I think, some Grey's Anatomy, some Gilmore Girls, some Golden Girls. What else? I don't even know what else I pre-ordered. I was just like adding everything in my cart, like, yes, check out. So, no, this Stranger Things one will be at probably the $8 price. I did not have to pay an arm and a leg for this one. So I know the last one I got, I had to pay a fortune for, so I did have to mark that one up. But yeah, so I will upload all those probably this evening, just the restock. So the Stranger Things, the Galaxy Star Wars, and the lace. I will restock those tonight, I think. And yes, Kathy, I know that you've been wanting that, so I have been looking for that everywhere, I promise. Okay, I think this may be dry enough to where I can try to cut this. Where do you order from? Well, I can't give my secrets where I order from, but all these will be available online. So on our website, you can, I actually did get my domain name now, so it's not quite as long. You can just go to www.sonofaglitz.com. Yeah, I saw the fabric cuts, exactly. Okay, so let's go and try to do this together. I think this is my sharp razor blade. Maybe I'll get a new one just in case. right, I want this to be really sharp, okay? So I'm just going to score or cut. Some of it's still a little wet, so it doesn't go through really easy. I'm just cutting around my top fabric here. Oh, see, this is, I don't know if you can tell, right here, it's kind of wet, so it wants to like pull the fabric. You see that? It's like pulling it. If it starts to pull that, guys, then let your blade go and try it again. Okay? Why do I do it by hand? Do I not like the tool for cutting cups? I honestly haven't ever tried the tool for cutting cups. I have razor blades, you know, at my disposal. They're easy for me, and I don't know, this is just how I have always done it. But I know plenty of people that use the tool and love it, so. Now your cut doesn't have to go all the way through right now, guys. As long as you make a score mark where you can see, then you can go back and cut it with the scissors. Normally, if this was completely dry, it would probably slide through very easily since it's a new blade. But I can feel it's not dry. Not all the way. But I think it's making enough. I think it's making enough of a score mark that I can see it. Yes, thank you, Pamela. It's cotton lycra. Yes, okay, so the tool is just for cutting the rims. And this is the seams that I'm doing. I do think that somebody told me that there is a seam tool as well. I don't know who carries it, but I don't use that either. I just freehand it all, guys. I've always been pretty fortunate, not to toot my own horn, but I can do straight lines pretty well by eyeball. So I just eyeball it all. This one is really smushy still. Okay, so normally if I wasn't doing this on a video with you guys, this would go a lot smoother because I would let the Mod Podge dry completely. Okay, so keep that in mind. Don't judge me on how difficult this is for me right now because I am, oh, there's a bristle to the paintbrush. I'm wanting to get this completed with you guys on the video, so I'm kind of, you know, I don't want to make y'all sit here for an hour while I let the Mod Podge dry. So since it is kind of wet, I'm just going very slow. I'm kind of making sure the fabric is staying in place. If it moves, I'm just pushing it back down. As long as I'm making some marks in the fabric, I can go back and see where I need to cut. Went a little crazy a couple days ago on the website. Hopefully your husband doesn't get the mail. Oh goodness. Well, thank you. I've shipped a lot out. After this video, I will be shipping the remaining few that are online. So if yours was not one that went out, it will go out soon. I try to have really speedy shipping. You use a roller blade, and I think it's way easier. Oh, maybe, yeah. I get nervous with those rotary cutters. I haven't even bought one for sewing. So when you peel this back, because the Mod Podge is still kind of wet, just be very careful. And I'm not going to peel it back all the way, but I can see my score marks. So I'm going to go little by little here, okay? I'm just going to lift up a little bit at a time and cut a little bit at a time. I'm just releasing the Mod Podge from the cup. That way I can get my scissors underneath. Like I said, I don't do this very often, this kind of seam, because it's so much more time consuming, you know, and maybe if y'all do it more, you'll find a really fast way to do this, but not for me. Okay, I can't really see my mark here. And if you guys just want to do a straight seam, okay, that is much easier. I have a lot of live, I do cups on a lot of live videos, so you can go back and check out some of my lives or the tutorials and watch how I do a straight seam if you want that. And the reason I'm not pulling it all up right now is because I'm going slow and I want to make sure that I'm cutting right. You know, I don't want to pull it all up and then I can't see my seam and then I got to try to fit it back together like a puzzle. This would probably be easier with some tiny blades or tiny scissors. But if you've been around here long enough, you know I like to do things the hard way. I like to make everything super difficult on myself. Especially for live videos. I'm just cutting off some of the parts that started to fray already. And I'll go back and clean that up too if I need to in a second. Yes, exactly. Like my little snips that I use for cutting threads and stuff, that would probably be real easy. You have to be real careful with those though, because they're very sharp. And if you jab into the fabric somewhere on accident, it'll poke a hole right through the fabric. Can't tell you how many times I've done that when sewing. That one's stuck real good. Around these wings are really hard. Oh yeah, or your fingertip, exactly. Jab it in your fingertip. And don't drop it on yourself either, oh my gosh. I've dropped it and been scared for my life. That's those moments where you see everything flashing before your eyes as the scissors fall really slowly toward your feet. No! Okay, I'm just peeling this back very carefully. I don't want to stretch my top layer too much. I mean, it'll go back into place, but you don't want to stretch it too much because then it makes it really difficult. So I'm just peeling these apart because they are pretty stuck. And this is why also, you know, a thin coat of Mod Podge really helps, because if you have a real thick coat of Mod Podge, this will stretch a lot and you have to really work at it more to get it back into place. So okay. Just need to be able to get my scissors up under here, so I'm using my epoxy stir stick because it's got a blunt end, and I'm just kind of prying it up a little bit. I don't want to lift it all the way up because then everything loses where I need to cut. But the good thing about Mod Podging these together as well is that while I'm sitting here pulling at this, they're staying together, so where I need to cut is still, it's still easy to find. I'm almost to the end, guys. I'm almost to the end. Hooray! I did it. Okay, now I just got to peel this back piece off. Don't be too rough with it. Okay, hallelujah. So now these will fit nicely together when we're done. Okay. So I'm gonna get my brush back out. I'm just gonna apply some more Mod Podge. This brush is bending so bad. I mean, it works, it does the trick, but I just like the gold brushes better. Make sure you get up against the seam where your fabric is still attached to the cup. Get in that groove really well, because sometimes as you're doing this, you'll notice your paintbrush like slides into a hole where the fabric maybe wasn't attached too well. Okay? So now I'm just gonna start to push it back down. And this is where if they're not coming together real nice, it's okay, because you can just slide them if you need to. Like, push the fabric, okay? Push it into place where it needs to go. Just kind of keep an eye out as it's drying that it doesn't want to move. Hopefully y'all can see I'm just kind of fitting them together like a puzzle, and I'm just making sure my seams butt right up next to each other. And if it starts to overlap, just slide it backwards, okay? And fit it back to where it needs to be, and then just push the excess fabric down, because the weaves will crunch together more. All right. So like I said, make sure as it's drying that you keep those fabrics smushed right up next to each other. Okay. So there is that. Where did I put it? Oh, right there. There's the seam. And then I can't see what I'm doing. Here it is, and it wraps all the way up around the wings. Okay. So what we'll do next is coat this with a layer of Mod Podge on top. I'm being careful around my seams because I don't want to push too hard on the brush, and then I move my fabric and my seams come apart. Oh, this brush is like super sucky. Sometimes, because I have my Mod Podge in a squeeze bottle like this, sometimes I get these little clumps where maybe it was inside somewhere and some of it dried. I just kind of pull that off. Don't try to rub those into your fabric. Just get rid of them. This brush is shedding. Stupid brush. I don't want a real thick coat of Mod Podge because it's going to take forever to dry. So I'm just trying to move the extra. No, Pamela, I'll probably add Stranger Things tonight. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'll go in and go cut some and see how many I've got out of it. And then I'll add that, because I did carry it before, so it is a restock. So, I'm just making sure I don't have any thick clumps. Now, I am gonna have to go through, where's my tweezers at? Okay. Yeah, I have some brushes that work really great. I washed them all the other day and they're still in the kitchen by the sink. So that's the only reason that I'm not using one right now. So now I gotta pull off these stupid bristles. I don't want that to show. shed a lot. Come on. That one's stuck. That one did not want to leave. All right. So, I think that looks like all of it. So now I'm going to let this dry. But while we're letting it dry, I will do something else with you guys. We're in Eastern Standard Time, so it's late. Oh, okay. Yeah, what time is it here? It's 9:30 here. Yeah, Pamela, if you want to wait till your stitch comes in, it could be a couple weeks before that stitch comes in, though. So, if you want to wait, I can do that. I'm just going to get this Mod Podge off my hands, guys. And then we'll go on to something else while we're waiting on that to dry. Only because I want to show y'all the whole process. I mean, except for epoxy, obviously. And put all this away. Maybe we will do more glitter on this. I just use parchment sheets. They're really easy. Let me put my brush back up. Alright, so this was the cup I made the other day on the live with you guys. And I did put my first coat of glitter on with epoxy already today. But this is the kind of brush I use to do my Mod Podge, but this one is my glitter brush. So it has glitter all in it. So I just kind of go through and I brush off all the extra glitter. And it comes off very easy. This cup I did do the polyurethane on with you guys. What was that, 2 days ago now? And it comes off very easy still. I like to just kind of push it down towards the rim. And then just tap it off, or with your hand, just kind of tap on the cup. Oh, y'all can't even see what I'm doing. Finally found a big bottle of Mod Podge. Yeah, usually I get them on Amazon. I don't know if that's where you found yours. Alright. Just getting off all the extra there. And then I'm just making sure that nothing else fell onto this glitter so that I don't taint my batch of pink. Maybe we will use some epoxy for this instead, since I epoxied the first one. Woo! Oh, it's all over me. Okay. Let me get my epoxy ready. I'm almost out of this. I need smaller medicine cups so that when I do something like this, I don't have to do 5 milliliters. because I feel like that kind of takes a lot. I don't know about easier. I mean, you know, I think it helps keep the epoxy, or keep the glitter in place a little better. You know, with Mod Podge you have to seal it really well, but with epoxy, you know, it stays in place really good. All right. I don't know where all my other stir sticks went. I'll just use the same one. So, I know, bear with me while we wait on that Mod Podge to dry. I will show you how to cut your rims and apply the polyurethane. Alright. And I just wipe my stir sticks off with a baby wipe and they come clean. It's when I forget to wipe them off, that's when I have problems. And I am using Pink Flamingo for this. Yeah, you can, Pamela. This one is actually the Amazon brand baby wipes. They suck, don't use them. I mean, it takes a lot for me to wipe the epoxy off of my hands and stuff if I get epoxy on my hands. I like the Parents' Choice, the Pampers brand, honestly. That works really well. They're just more expensive, so I bought the Amazon ones this time because I could buy a big box of them, and I do not like the Amazon ones. So, and my stir sticks, they're from Amazon as well. I just searched for metal stir sticks, and I got like a pack of 10, I think, or something. So I'm just coating this with epoxy. I don't want a whole lot on there. So I'm kind of looking at an angle so I can see the reflection in the light. So I make sure I know where I'm putting it on. And then this, if you cannot do a straight seam, guys, like if you think you're going to get epoxy all over your cup, then I suggest you tape off your cup. Okay? It's pretty easy for me just to paint it like this, you know, without getting it on the cup. So and I just go slow when I get to the edge here, so I make sure that I don't put my paintbrush on top of the fabric. That's why a stiffer brush actually works kind of good for this. And if you were doing the same, I do the same process with Mod Podge. So if you don't want to epoxy your rims, I do literally the same thing with Mod Podge. Second coats and all, I paint it just like this. Just trying to make sure I get it everywhere. And this is the fast set epoxy. sorry, this is very intense. Oh yeah, see, that's what I kind of noticed with these ones, is that the Amazon ones, because they're a little cheaper, the fuzz does come off a lot faster than the Pampers ones. But I go through a lot of baby wipes. I'm just going around the edge here and just dabbing it to make sure the epoxy didn't wipe off the edge. I want to make sure I have a nice coat right there. Okay. I made a tie-dye cup that I do not like, so I have to attempt it again. But I made a tie-dye cup with alcohol ink markers, not acrylic paints. But I didn't want to show you guys until I had it perfect, so. Oh, you cannot see me either here. Now it's really hard to see what already has the glitter and what needs to be coated still, because it was already pink. I think that's pretty good. There was something on the cup in the center there. I don't know if you can see that black dot right in the middle. Now I'm just kind of lightly pressing it down in the pile of glitter, just to kind of pack it in. Anything that maybe still needed glitter, you know, I just kind of go like this. Can you see that? And I just kind of push it lightly down on the pile so that it really packs that down on there. You love the pink flamingo with the epoxy. The glitter lays down more flat than Mod Podge. Yeah, it probably does. I mean, maybe not. I can't. It's kind of hard to tell. You know, I still have to wind up sanding a little bit, especially around the rims. You know, like right here on the edge, and then right down here on the edge. I still always have to sand a little bit, but I like Mod Podge because I don't waste extra epoxy. You know, I can just squirt on a little bit if I need to, rather than this one I've got to make a certain amount of epoxy. And especially with the fast set, you know, it sets up pretty quick, so if I can't be super fast on these rims, then I'm throwing, you know, 2.5 or so mLs away. Although this morning when I put this first coat on, I was able to do a few coats before it got too set up. I mean, not a few coats, I'm sorry, a few cups. I told you guys, I cannot multitask, I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk and do this. I'm trying to, I know it's like really hard to see where I'm putting the epoxy, but I'm trying to make sure that I got it all on here. So I'm kind of looking at it at a weird angle. I'm not directly over the top of it because I want to see the reflection of my lights. And I know for some of you guys that wanted to see the curved tumbler, y'all are like, what is happening? But I'm just waiting on that Mod Podge to dry, so as soon as that Mod Podge is dry, we will get right back on that curved cup. If I taped this off, this would probably go a lot faster, but I'm trying to be really careful that I don't get up on top of the fabric. So, very tedious. I'm just pushing I'm like pushing the little bit of epoxy right up to the edge. I can't tell if I got this yet. I did not. Sorry, there's a few little spots here where my first coat of epoxy didn't grab any glitter, so I'm just trying to make sure I get in that little groove really well. I cannot tell where the epoxy is anymore. So, the good thing about using Fast Set for this though is that when this is dry in about an hour, I can just brush off the extra glitter and spray seal it if I want, and then it's ready to epoxy. Because we use the polyacrylic, so we don't have to do 5 coats of Mod Podge. Going to go around one more time on it because that epoxy sometimes soaks through the glitter, and then when you go again around, it'll grab more glitter. So I'm just making sure. This color is so pretty though. Alright, so that one is done, and then let me just hang this one up. Okay. I just touched that cup and I have glitter all over my hands, y'all. Nabbit. See what I'm talking about? Every time I'm on live. I just poured that on my table. All right. So now, I'm gonna flip my parchment paper over actually. Ew, it's warm. Told y'all I just touched that with my glitter hands. We might be able to cut these seams already. Let's give it a try. Alright, so to cut my seams, my rims, I use the lid to my electric tape and a razor blade. Sorry, I had to get that epoxy out of the way. Okay, oh, which one of these was new? Dang, they both feel good. Okay. I don't know which one was my new one I just opened up, so I am going to go ahead and cut the excess of this off today since I have my scissors here. All trimmed. Okay. Now this is pretty dry, so hopefully this will go smoothly for us. When the Mod Podge is still a little wet, it's a little bit more difficult, but now the reason I use the electric tape lid is because I like the thickness of this for my rims. You can use thicker, you can use thinner. If you wanted a really big rim, you could set it on something really big like this, and then you'd have a really big rim. But that's preference. It's all what you want. Okay, I like just a little glitter. All right, so I put the blade right up to the cup and I kind of jam it in, and then I just turn. Except I'm gonna have to turn this blade sideways because the fabric is still wet. Okay. If you notice it pulling your fabric, turning it sideways like this helps with that some. Oh, I was moving the fabric, guys. Okay, normally you've got to let your fabric dry a lot more, but for the purpose of this video, I'm trying to rush this. So my fabric is not dry enough. That did not cut through, dagnabbit. Alright. Oh my gosh, still. Is it okay if you cut your rims after your last coat of Mod Podge? It is. The only reason I'm doing this right now, normally if I'm doing Mod Podge on my cup, I normally do it after the third coat, because I try to seal my rims in with the last 2 coats of Mod Podge. But I'm doing it right now because I'm going to use polyacrylic and not Mod Podge. So this did not cut all the way because it's still too wet, honestly. So I'm having to go through and baby this. You can see it's like moving a lot still. Normally with a sharp blade, this just cuts through like butter. Gosh, it is just not wanting to cut. This is terrible. Oh, it's so frayed and ugly. This is why you have to let it dry more, guys. Gosh. It's okay, we'll make it work. I should have had 2 cups prepped for you guys so that I could have worked on the dry cup instead. So because it didn't cut all the way, I'm just following my score mark and just kind of pushing hard while, you know, moving along the edge of the fabric where I scored it. Because I don't want to tug and pull on the fabric if I don't have to. You can see how like clean that one is right there compared to like this edge. Look how bumpy that is. It's terrible. Okay. Trying to find my seam, make sure I didn't pull my seam apart. Now let's attempt the top. I wonder if my other blade is sharper, because I don't know which one was brand new. I'm not pushing as hard on this one. I'm trying to score the fabric first since it is still wet. Okay. But I promise I don't have this hard a time every time. Y'all go back and look at some of my other lives. This is only because I did not let this fabric dry, I promise. Okay. Now it scored it pretty good, so I'm just going back around. Can you see that? Where's the cut mark? It's, oh yeah, right there, okay? You can see the cut mark. So, I'm just going around again. Pushing it a little deeper. I can hear I'm making it through to the cup a little bit. When I turn my blade sideways like this, it's because it's pulling the fabric. So this gives it like a wider surface to try to cut instead of just using the tip of the knife. Okay, so that took a little bit more work. I had to go around that several times. Dang, still didn't make it all the way through, y'all. So hopefully y'all can see what happens when you try to rush this. You have to let it dry. Okay. That's a little bit better there. I'm just pushing my rims back in, I mean my seams back into place because they're still wet and I messed it up a little. I moved the fabric. Okay, so that part is done. Now, I was going to go on and do the polyacrylic on this cup with you guys, but I don't think I want to put it on over this since it's still wet. So I'm just going to stop here and let this dry. Okay, but normally you can do two things. So at this point, because I only have one coat of Mod Podge on here, if you're going the Mod Podge route, you need probably at least 4 more coats of Mod Podge. You want it to feel real smooth, okay, real smooth, like not baby legs, like fresh shaved legs. And you make sure that you paint over the edge of your rims to trap your rims. You want to build a Mod Podge wall around the rims, just a little bit, like that much of Mod Podge, okay? Don't cover your whole edge here. But you want to build that up, because otherwise when you epoxy over it, the epoxy can slip underneath the fabric there. So if you're going the Mod Podge route, then that's what you would do next. But I'm going to do polyacrylic on this, which is this one, okay? And if this was dry enough right now, I would just paint the polyacrylic on. Okay, same thing though, you want to make sure that you get your seams and your rims really good, just because you don't want the epoxy to get underneath there. Alright, but because this is not dry, I am not going to do that right now. So I'm going to stop here. So now you saw how to put fabric on a curved tumbler. I showed you how to fussy cut and make an invisible seam, kind of. So you can see it if you look hard, but otherwise it just kind of blends in, except for right there where there's 2 of the thread things, but it just kind of blends in. So that's how to do that. If anybody has any questions, you guys can leave it in the comments below or send me a message and I will answer that just as soon as I can. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for joining me with this tonight, guys. And I don't see any other questions popping up, so I'll check back later and see if anybody commented with any other questions. But hopefully this helps some of y'all that was looking for how to do a curved tumbler, because it's the same process whether you do the fussy cut or not. You know, it's not super difficult, so give it a try. You know, you'll see that it's not as scary as it feels like it is. But all right, y'all have a good rest of your evening, and I will talk to y'all later. Oh wait, what do you use the poly stuff for? Hope. So you can use the polyacrylic instead of Mod Podge. So I put this on the cup with Mod Podge, and then I put 1 coat over the top of it just so I can cut my rims. But normally you would have to do like 5 coats of Mod Podge before you can epoxy. And if you use the polyacrylic, I just put polyacrylic on after this 1 coat, and then it's ready to epoxy. After I do my rims, it's ready to epoxy. So it's a shortcut. It's the cheat version of how to do a fabric cup without all the Mod Podge. It's a game changer. That's a good word for it. It's a game changer, you guys. So anyway, I hope you all give it a try. And again, if anybody has any questions, you know how to reach me. All right, bye.